Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's Sheikah here, back again with our Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity video. And so this week on the channel I plan to take another look at the 3 starters, Link, Mipha, and Zelda. As some of you may already know, I already covered their movesets when the demo came out, but now that we have the full game, the movesets have changed quite a bit, especially with Link and Zelda, as they have multiple weapons they can switch between that will change their entire moveset. So since so much has changed with those characters, I thought it would be worth it just to take another quick look at them. So today we'll start things off with the main protagonist of the series and our main boy Link. Link has 3 weapon types he can use, which are the one-handers with shields, two-handed weapons, and spears. And whenever you switch through each of his weapon types, both his basic abilities and his attack combos will change. So to make this video a bit more digestible, I'll start with the Sheikah Runes first, and then go through each of the 3 weapon types, basic abilities, attack combos, and the quick tips I have, all separated into their own little sections. Because of all the weapon types, this video is going to be pretty beefy, as it's almost like 3 of my regular character guide videos into one. And because it is so long, I doubt most of you would watch through the entire thing, as there's a lot of information to handle. So make sure to check the description. I'll leave the timestamps for each section like I usually do. Before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these character guide videos. And also, don't forget to like the video if you watched it and enjoyed it, as there's a lot of work to put together. And now that this obligatory intro is out the way, let's get started by taking a look at the Sheikah Runes. As always, we'll start with Cryonis, and for Link's Cryonis, you'll spawn a block directly under him, which will send him flying into the air. Once you're in the air, you can either choose the paraglide, use a mid-air combo, or use his unique action. For the Bomb Rune, Link will throw up to 4 bombs directly in front of him that you can aim with the left stick. For Magnesis, Link will absorb nearby metal weapons into a circle, and then you can choose to walk around with them for a little while and do damage to any enemies that may get too close. And finally, Link's Stasis is really basic, and all it does is pause nearby enemies. It has no special follow-ups like the others, but it's still solid, as it, instead of doing any fancy animations, it gives you time to get a lot of hits in while the enemy is frozen. And the first weapon type we'll cover in this video is the one-handed weapons. So here is the attack menu for all of the one-handed weapon combos and abilities. I already covered some of these in the demo character guide, but since then I've fully upgraded Link and unlocked a few more combos. As always, I'll go over what each one of these do in detail, and we'll start this section off by taking a look at the basic abilities with one-handed weapons. The first basic ability we have is the Shield Surf from Breath of the Wild, so you can do this by sprinting and pressing X, and then once you do that, Link will launch into a Shield Surf that will damage nearby enemies. Another ability that is returned from Breath of the Wild is the Shield Parry. You can do this by holding down ZL to block and then pressing Y whenever a weapon is swung at you or a projectile is shot at you. If you get the timing right, Link will form a shield parry and deflect the attack. If done against mini-bosses, it will expose their weak point gauge, and if you do it against Guardian lasers, you'll deflect the laser back and do some damage. The unique action with one-handed weapons gives Link the use of a bow. You can aim this bow by using the left stick, and the arrows will be fired whenever you release ZR. And you can also use this bow while mid-air by pressing ZR whenever Link is mid-air. Next up are all of the weak point smash animations that I found. His weak point smash is pretty basic and has no special effects outside of the damage it does to mini bosses. And lastly, for a special attack, which you use by pressing A, for Link with one-handed weapons, it's just a really powerful spin attack that does damage to a huge area. Alright, so now it's time to go over the attack combos. So for all of his combos, Link has the option to hold down X instead of tapping it to release an extra attack afterwards. So with all the combos that have an X in it, I'll show you what it looks like first if you just tap it, and it'll show you afterwards what it looks like if you hold it down. Our first combo, like always, is just our basic 7 Ys combo. For this one, Link just swings his sword 7 times. Pretty basic, nothing really special happens here. Combo number 2 is the YX combo. For this combo, Link will perform a regular sword swing followed by a strong upward swing that will send him mid-air. And if you held down X instead of tapping it, Link will perform one more sword swing followed by a shield bash that sends out a little shockwave at the end of it. Combo 3 is the YYX combo. For this combo, Link will do 2 regular sword swings followed by a strong attack that will send him into a shield surf. If you hold X throughout the entire shield surf, Link will then launch a flurry of sword swings right afterwards. Next is our 3 Ys and an X combo where Link will do 3 regular sword swings followed by a spin attack. If you decide to hold X, it will add another spin attack at the end that also sends Link mid-air. Combo 5 is 4 Ys and an X. For this combo, Link will do 4 regular sword swings followed by a jumping spin attack that will send him mid-air. And again, if you hold X, it will add an extra attack where he charges his sword, swings it, and then sends a sword beam into the air that explodes into a small shockwave right above him. For combo 6, which you perform by doing 5 Ys and an X, Link will do 5 regular attacks followed by a spin attack and a strong forward stab. If you hold X, it will add an extra spin attack as well as an attack where Link smashes his sword into the ground. When his sword makes an impact with the ground, it will unleash a powerful blast as well as send out a sword beam in front of him. And like usual, combo 7 is the same exact thing as combo 6, just with an added extra regular attack in between. Now to wrap this part up, I'll give you guys some tips for using Link with one-handed weapons. So first off, I'll go into my weapon build. So my plan here is to use the Master Sword with all attack speeds. These attack speeds allow for you to get off combos really quickly, and as you'll see a little later on in one of my other tips, this is very important for Link. Also on the Master Sword, both the hidden seals match with each other, so you don't have to worry on finding them a match, and can instead just use whatever seals you want to use the most. As for combat tips, one tip I do have is to remember to use your bow. Even though the sword will always outshine the bow in like literally every situation, the bow is very useful for one thing, and that is exposing weak point gauges on bosses. You can use it to easily shoot things like a Guardian's or Hinox's eyes or the heads of moblins to easily expose the weak point gauge for a short window. Then once it's exposed, quickly use stasis on it so it lasts a little bit longer and so you can get most of the gauge down with your sword hits. This strategy is really OP and it makes a lot of the tougher bosses way easier to deal with as you just keep abusing this over and over again as long as your stasis keeps recharging. For combos, I find that combo 6 is easily the best combo and is the one I use 80% of the time when I'm playing Link. It's super good for both taking out large groups of enemies as well as fighting the tougher bosses. If you hold X on the combo and are able to get it off, most of the time it will stun bosses and expose their weak point gauge for a short period of time, which is pretty broken. And like with the bow thing, you can also use stasis that to make it last a little bit longer. And this combo is the main reason why I want to have the 4 attack speeds on this weapon, just because I can keep abusing this combo over and over again and keep stunning bosses. But for those of you who have yet to unlock this combo, I find that combo 2 is the best for mini bosses and combo 3 is good for taking out larger groups of enemies. And combos 4 and 5 are usually good for both as they both send you mid-air we can get up to 4 extra hits in. Overall, I think that Link's one-handed moveset is probably his best and one of the best in the entire game. All of his combos are super versatile and can be used in almost all situations, and Link just in general as a character can handle pretty much anything you throw at him. However, one problem I do have with him is that his basic abilities are a little bit underwhelming and he has no special powers like the other champions. But it does make sense as a character since he's mostly known for his ability with the sword. But even with his subpar basic abilities, Link is still one of the best characters in the game, and I totally recommend that you try to learn his one-handed moveset and even try to master it as it's pretty easy to understand. Now for part 2 of this video, we'll take a look at his two-handed weapons. Like in Breath of the Wild, the two-handed weapons are a little bit more powerful, but the drawback for them is that they're a little bit more slower and they're more risky to use. But opening up the attack menu for them, here are all the attack combos and abilities he has with two-handed weapons. As always, I'll go over each of these, and we'll start this off by going over the basic abilities first. So for two-handed weapons, Link has two separate dash attacks. The first one is done by sprinting and pressing Y, and will make him do an upward swing while he runs. The second one, which is way better, is performed by sprinting and then pressing X. For this one, Link will do a jumping spin attack with his weapon and then continue on running. This ability is really good for clearing out enemies while running from place to place, and in my opinion is way better than his shield surf from his other moveset. Link's unique action is very different with his two-handed weapons, as it is used as a replacement for a strong attack. So for example, if you're using a YX combo, instead of pressing YX, you instead press a YZR. This ZR makes the strong attack at the end of the combo is really powerful and lasts longer, but its only drawback is that it'll cause a small amount of damage to Link. Each time he uses a unique action at the end of the combo, it'll do 1 heart of damage, or if you just use it by itself, it'll do half a heart of damage. You can recover these lost hearts from his unique action by pressing X. This will make Link eat a meal that will cover all hearts lost from his unique action use. However, if you take any other damage outside of the unique action after you use it, you can no longer recover those lost hearts, and pressing X will instead do nothing. And you can tell which hearts you recover because you'll be grayed out instead of blacked out on the health bar. And finally, each time you eat a meal, you can recover up to 8 hearts at a time. Next up, here are some of his weak point smash animations. Like the one-handed weapons, this one is not special at all. All it does is the damage it does normally to bosses. And lastly, we have his special attack, which is used by pressing A. This one is also pretty basic. The only special thing that it does is that he'll eat a meal before he actually launches it and recovers some hearts. Alright, now for the attack combos. For this section, I'm first going to show you what it looks like when you press X like normal, and then I'll show you afterwards what it looks like if you replace the X with a ZR press. And again, we'll start off with the 7 Ys combo, and like always, it is just some regular attacks using whichever weapon Link is currently holding. Combo number 2 is the YX combo. For this combo, Link will perform 1 regular attack followed by a strong attack that sends him into the air, and then from there you can either paraglide or launch a mid-air combo. If you replace the X with a ZR, Link will perform the same move, but instead of staying mid-air, he'll instead slam his weapon directly into the ground, and wherever that weapon hit the ground, it will leave a small area that will do residual damage to enemies nearby. Combo 3 is the YYX combo, where Link will do 2 regular strikes followed by a moving spin attack. If you use ZR instead, Link will do the same spin attack but slower, and then add an extra sword swing at the end of it. Next up is 3 Ys and an X, where Link will perform 3 regular attacks followed by a strong forward stab that will send a shockwave directly out of his weapon. Replacing X with a ZR will make Link do the same attack, except that you have the opportunity to follow it up and perform it up to 2 more times. After he's done doing the forward stabs, he'll add an extra sword swing at the end as well. Combo 5, which is our 4 Ys and an X combo, will make Link perform 4 regular attacks, followed by a small forward stab that leads into a spinning jump attack. If you again use the R here instead, Link will do the same thing, except he'll add a flurry of swings at the top of his jump. Combo 6 is performed by pressing Y 5 times followed by an X. For this one, Link will perform 5 regular attacks followed by a small flurry rush of swings that will send out pretty large sword beams directly in front of him. Using ZR here will have you perform the same move, except it will give you the ability to repeatedly tap ZR to extend the duration of the flurry. Then at the end, he'll add one more sword swing that sends out a rotating beam in front of him. And Combo 7 is the same exact thing as Combo 6, just with an added extra regular attack. Alright, now onto some of my tips I have for the two-handed weapons. As always, I'll start by going over my weapon build first. So for my two-handed weapon, I plan on using this Royal Claymore here and adding all attack speeds. All attack speeds are again the best here as it allows you to get off these powerful combos way faster. Since swings with two-handers are a lot slower, sometimes you can get hit while trying to perform a certain combo, so attack speeds will help a lot in preventing that. Another build I plan on using in the future is an all damage at 30% hearts or less build. This build makes sense as his unique action does damage to Link, so most of the time you'll already be missing a few hearts. So once you've taken a good amount of damage, you can purposely just drop down to 30% to activate all of these seals. And then once all of them are activated, you'll be able to absolutely mow down any enemy that gets in your way. The only drawback is pretty obvious here, that it's really risky to use. I would only use this if you're playing on easy or if you're really experienced and good at managing your hearts and avoiding taking any damage. For combat tips, one thing I do have to say is make sure you're not afraid to use his unique action. I almost exclusively use his unique action instead of his strong attacks since they're so much more powerful and allow me to get through hordes of enemies way faster. However, if you're going to be using his unique action a lot, you need to make sure to keep track of how many hearts you lost due to your unique action use. Whenever you lost a good amount of hearts, I say around like 3 to 5, make sure to take a step back from the battle so you don't get hit by an enemy and lose those hearts permanently. And then once you're relatively safe, just press X really quickly and heal back all those hearts you lost. Another tip I have is don't be afraid to get really close to bosses or just surrounding enemies in general, because one of his enhanced abilities is that it makes it easier for him to dodge. So if you just pay any attention to any enemy that will be swinging at you, if you just quickly press B, you'll be able to dodge it pretty easily, because this is why we wouldn't hit that. And then afterwards, you'll be able to go into flurry rush mode and avoid any damage. As far as combos go, I find that combos 2 and 5 are the best for fighting bosses, while 3 and 4 are best for large groups of weaker enemies. And finally, combo 6 in my opinion is the best combo and pretty much good for both situations. Overall, I found that Link's two-handed moveset is very good. All of his combos are super powerful, and combined with his unique action use can do tons of damage to tons of enemies. Although the only drawback to that is that he's a lot slower as well as a lot more riskier to use. So because of that, I do still prefer his one-handed moveset because it has a lot more speed and versatility and is a lot more safer to use on the harder difficulties. On its own though, this moveset is still very good and is also really fun to play with when you get bored with his one-handed weapons. So I totally recommend using this one. It makes you feel super powerful. All in all, it's fun to use. Alright, now for the last part of this video, we'll take a look at his final weapon type, which are the spears. Here is the attack menu for the spears, here's all the attack combos as well as the abilities. Again, I'll go over each one of these and we'll start with the basic abilities first. Our first basic ability is performed by sprinting and pressing X. When you do this, Link will perform a forward stab followed by a swing upwards shortly after while he's running. Next up is a spear throw, which you can perform while you're mid-air if you press X. Once you do this, Link will go into bullet time and you have the ability to aim wherever you want to throw your spear and then press X to throw it. After it hits the ground, Link will charge towards it, doing damage to enemies in his way, and then you'll pick up the spear afterwards. Link also has the ability to perform a charge attack like he does in Breath of the Wild. This is done by holding X and then releasing it, which will send out a series of rapid stabs that each send out a shockwave, and then the last one will send out a small tornado at the end. For his unique action, Link will charge up again and send out a charging thrust forward. If you enhance his ability, this charging thrust will also send out a small shockwave. This unique action, in my opinion, is kinda underwhelming, but it is good at closing ground very quickly and getting up close to enemies. Alright, next up we have some weak point smash animations. These are not really special, they just do damage to enemies like they usually do. And lastly, we have the special attack, which is used by pressing A. Like the other two special attacks, this one's pretty basic. It's pretty much the exact same, just different animations. Alright, now it's time to talk about the combos. The first combo, like always, is the 7 Wise combo, which is pretty much a bunch of basic spear attacks. Up next is the YX combo, where Link will first perform a regular stab, followed by a strong stab and a swing uppers that will send Link midair. For our third combo, which is 2 Ys and X, Link will perform first 2 regular stabs, followed by some running swings and a huge spear slam into the ground. Combo number 4 is 3 Ys and X, and for this one, Link will perform 3 stabs, followed by a small flurry rush and a strong stab forward. For this one, you have the option to hold X to charge up the flurry attack, which will make it a little bit more powerful and last a little bit longer. Next up for combo 5, which is kind of a long one, we have 4 Ys and an X. The first 4 Ys will make him perform 2 normal stabs and 2 swings, and the first X press will send him into a lunging stab attack. Then you have the ability to press X up to 2 more times again to follow that up twice. Combo 6 is 5 Ys and an X. For this combo, Link will perform 5 regular attacks, followed by a strong attack that will send him mid-air. Then once he's mid-air, he'll automatically do a charge forward back into the ground with his spear. And finally, combo 7 is the same exact thing as combo 6, it just adds an extra Y press. Alright, so now it's time for the final quick tip section of this entire video, and as always I'll go over my weapon build first. My plan here is just to go with 3 attack speeds and 1 attack range. One of the hidden seals is actually attack range plus plus, so combining that with an additional attack range will give this weapon some godly range. And then like always, the attack speed is just there to speed up the weapon swinging speed, just so you can get off combos really fast. For combat tips, the first one is to try to keep distance between you and your enemies. The main draw of using spears is range, and you want to utilize that range by keeping your distance and avoiding taking any extra damage. So instead, you want to try to pick and choose the best times to attack. You don't want to just go in there randomly swinging like you do with the other weapons. Instead, I find that it's just better to wait for the enemy to be done with their attack, and then quickly use your unique action to close the distance, and then use all your combos to get your damage in. As far as the combos go, I would mainly use combos 2 and 4 for bosses, combos 3 and 5 for large groups of enemies, and then combo 6 can be good for both. To be honest though, I don't really use the spears all too often. Again, the spear's main selling point is the extra range, which is best used by playing more patiently and defensively, and that just isn't my playstyle, especially in a game like this. Another thing I don't like about the spears is that most of the combos target what's in front of Link rather than everything around him like in some of the combos in the other 2 movesets. This makes it a little more tedious to take out large groups of enemies, and combined with the other factors, it makes you just not want to use it. But just overall, comparing the combos and all the abilities with each other, I just prefer the other 2 movesets a lot more to this one. On its own though, it's still decent, it's pretty solid at what it does, but it's just not amazing like the other 2 in my opinion. But other than that, guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. I know it was a pretty long video, so for those of you who actually watched the whole thing and made it to the end, thank you very much for your support. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please make sure to leave a like. This video took a very long time to put together, so a like will be very appreciated. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Age of Calamity content. I will be making a character guide for each of the characters, so be on the lookout for those. But other than that, guys, we'll see you guys later. Peace out.